This is the Alpha Stars video for Section 6, Equations, Symbols, and Units. So the first thing to talk about is how to write things down. And it's important in a physics course to be able to write things down in a way that people can understand what you mean. So we're always going to write things like this. The symbol, and then an equals sign, and then some sort of number, and then followed by some units. Now this will always be true. There'll be some rare exceptions where there won't be any units, but we'll talk about those as they come up. But in general, this is the way things will always look. Now, one thing that confuses people are these things called prefixes. Now, prefixes are written as letters. They're either letters in our alphabet or perhaps letters in the Greek alphabet. And so since they are letters, and since symbols are also letters, people tend to think that prefixes are either symbols or units. Units are also written in terms of letters. But the thing to remember is that prefixes are numbers. And that's a little confusing because they don't look like numbers. So that's the thing to remember. Prefixes are numbers. So here's an example. Let's say we have some sort of horizontal position coordinate x, and that's equal to 3.67 nanometers. So what I'm going to do is rewrite that and spread everything out a little bit. Put some space in between everything, just to identify what's going on. So x is the symbol, and then there's the equal sign. And then I'm going to put a dashed line here between the letter N and the letter M. So all this stuff here, the 3.67 nano, that's the number. And meters are the metric units of position. So those are the units there. That's a little bit confusing because we're using a letter to stand for a number. What you need to do is memorize what all these prefixes are so you can use them. Here are some common ones. M stands for mega, which is a million, 10 to the 6th power. So 1 followed by 6 zeros. K is kilo, which is 10 to the 3rd power. And then another one we tend to use a lot is centa, which is less than 1. It's 10 to the minus 2 power, or 1/100th. And another common one is milli, as in millimeter or milligram. And that's 1/1000th, 10 to the minus 3. And micro, it's a funny looking Greek letter, mu, it's a funny looking Greek M. Micro is 1/1,000,000th, which is 10 to the minus 6. And nano, the one we're using in this example, is 10 to the minus 9. So that's a 1/1,000,000,000th. And they keep going from there. There's pico, which is 10 to the minus 12th, and femto, which is 10 to the minus 15th, and atto, which is 10 to the minus 18th, and they go on and on. But these are pretty much the most commonly used ones. So nano is a prefix corresponding to a very small number, 1 divided by a billion. And so when you use this prefix, you're talking about a very small number. So we could rewrite this if we wanted to in what's called scientific notation. So write the symbol again and the equal sign. And I'm going to write the number a little bit differently. So 3.67 times 10 to the negative 9th power meters. So what I wrote above, 3.67 nanometers, and what I've got down here, 3.67 times 10 to the minus 9 meters, those are the same. And the only thing I've done is explicitly put in what the prefix is standing for. So you might be wondering, why use prefixes? And the answer is basically that scientists and engineers and mathematicians tend to like to write as little as possible. They like compact notation. It's sort of a thing that they have. So prefixes allow you to do that. It's just less writing means the same thing. But most instructors won't really care about which notation you use. These two things are completely equivalent. I've gone from the prefix to the explicit number. You also want to be able to go in the opposite direction. So start with an explicit number and express it using a prefix. So that might take a little bit of practice. So you might want to just try making up some numbers, writing them in the proper way with a symbol, the number, and some units. And then practice switching the notation, going from using a prefix to writing the number explicitly. So go ahead and try that out, and we'll see you later on.